Hello fellow dragons, it's Shane from Astral Dragon Gaming, and this is my review time. And I'm hoping you're having a fabulous day, and I hope you stick around for a bit of subscribing, bit of sharing, and a whole lot of other things if you liked the video. So, let's get on with the review. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, absolutely nothing more satisfying and more pleasing to any person on the planet's eyes than having a look at something like a precision line. Have you ever gone to a particular factory or gone to a particular food place and just seen the movement of machinery all in unison creating these wonderful products? Not far from where I live there is an actual Krispy Kreme that has a donut making machine, and it just has conveyor belts, it has rising and falling lifts, and it has the way the donuts are just placed out into the little batches. It is mesmerizing to watch, and that is what today's game is all about. Automachef is a game where you resource manage all these different things. Scratch that, try again. You manage resources, and you also try and solve the puzzle of how to organize a room in order to best climatize yourself to the particular scenario that you put in. And there is a lot of scenarios in this game, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The interesting thing about this, there is a campaign mode and there's the other parts of the play that are there, but the really interesting thing is you're working for a robot that seems to have ulterior motives. I won't spoil the surprise at the end because that is really the whole point of playing the game, but we'll get on to the basic idea and everything. First of all, have a look at the graphics and the look and animation and all that. This game is, I think the best way to describe it is just simple. It is a bare balls, straight up game about making a little factory and making it work properly and efficiently as possible. But the really interesting thing about this game, the thing that really drives home how well done this game is just the tactile feel when you put down a device, and it feels so correct when you put it down. It feels so much like it's the perfect way of doing it. It's like getting a whole load of Lego figurines and putting them down in the right order to make them do one particular thing. That's what this game's all about, and it looks fantastic. I love the color outlay, that particular kind of turquoise blue that they've chosen for a large proportion of the machines, the white, and just the general sort of aesthetics and way the machines look so clunky but looks so right in that 1950s sort of style where you had a machine that had these fantastic curves and shaped just correctly with just that hint of machinery that makes it so that this game really feels fantastic in its design. It's an unbelievably simple way of getting it done, but at the same time, watching all this in motion, watching the arms grabbing plates and stuff, or moving objects from a hot grill, or moving it from a deep fryer, or stuff like that, it's just so interesting watching all these little pieces all move and interact with each other. And that is probably what this game's best appeal is it's not about looking very pretty, it's not about looking super great, but it's that cleanness of animation, that structured animation that shows a robotic system in action. We've all seen it in some games where you'll sit back and just watch how it all interacts and whatnot, and there is nothing surprisingly more satisfying than watching a production line in the process of getting done. We can all ascertain to sitting in front of a telly and watching a documentary about the production line of cars, and just watching a car slowly getting built as it goes from factory part to factory part. It's so awesome. It's just something I can't really get my head around. It's something I just can't sort of get away from, is just how this game makes me feel as I'm playing it. And even when I'm banging my head against the wall and the levels sort of ramp up in difficulty. I will get back to that in the later part of the game, because the review, because that's one thing about this game that you have to be aware of. But a little teaser for what's about to happen. So it's just this entire sort of workflow, this entire sort of thing, and it gives you such a detailed expression and gives you such good visual information. The user interface, that's the one thing I really love about this. It lays out all your parts, it lays out how to find things and whatnot, and it does it really well. And you can put blueprints together, which also looks great, but when you're trying to look at a puzzle, it makes sense to go, hold on, I built that device already, I made a blueprint. Go grab the blueprint from the blueprints pile and put it in there. A couple of the gripes when we're talking about graphics wise is that it will get a bit busy at times, but the really good thing about it is that it will not what's the word? It's in the tip of my tongue. It will not tell you what's happening. The downside of the way the graphics has been done is it can get very cluttered at times, so some parts can be hidden inside other parts, and it makes it hard to see if something's working or not, which can be a very big problem with this game, because you have to organize arms, you have to organize parts to go certain speeds or produce so much per minute and everything like that. And the only problem is the factory floor can get a bit cluttered if you're not paying attention, and because there's no ability to sort of mass select or mass delete sort of things, that can be a bit of a bummer, and you might end up getting so confused, can't figure out where you're going, and you just have to delete the whole thing, which is kind of a bummer. We'll move on to the sound, music, and that's about it. There's no voice in this, so we won't worry about that. The music here, it reminds me of Tom and Jerry, it reminds me of the Jensens, the whole sort of Hanna-Barbera sort of period of animation. And it's something that's very synonymous with the 1950s, 1960s at that time period. It's that jaunty sort of little flutes and sort of things that was very prominent in Warner Brothers stuff and Hanna-Barbera stuff. And that's a really good thing about this game, because you'll be listening to that a lot, because there are times in this game where you'll be stuck on a level for many hours and it's not taking over your entire soundscape. It's just that nice jaunty tune that's sitting in the background, and it allows you to think. It really is helpful for the thinking. And even when you start your production line and most of the music you cut out. There's a nice sort of orchestral, sort of silent, not very present piece, and you can hear the sounds of the area around you. You can hear the machines working away, and you can hear the sounds of people and water and birds and stuff like that. And it's really a great sort of encompassment of getting into this game. There is no voice. There is a little sort of jaunty talking sort of thing for the robot that runs through the campaign, but other than that, there's nothing really to speak of voice wise. But just the music and the sound construction in this game has been done exceptionally well. There's a real sense of building stuff here, and a real sense of a time period that this is focused around, and I like that about this. It really pulls me into the game and makes me feel, oh, I love it. I really do love it. Control wise, yeah, you can use keyboard and mouse, or you can use a controller. It's suitable for both because the games came out for both the Xbox, both for Microsoft and for Switch. I'm not sure it's out on Xbox or not. If it's not, I really honestly think it should be, because it was a fantastic game. But it works well with either, and it's easy to control, it's easy to pick up, it's very easy to sort of get the basics, but to master, oh, she make you cry for making it a master. It'd be a very hard... No, it's hard game. There is a very nice sort of learning curve all the way up to round about level 5 in the campaign. And once you hit level 5, it just shoots right up to level 20 sort of difficulty. There are things that become more difficult, like you suddenly get more complex machines that you have to manage, and then on top of that you get more complex recipes that are made in tandem on top of each other. So you're now having to pay attention to your recipe list. You're now having to pay attention to what process each individual part has to be made into before it gets put into an assembler or cooked or chopped up, and so on and so forth. And the management of this is horrible. On top of that, there are ordering machines, and as you get further along in the levels, the ordering machines become more complex, giving you and or not loops that you can put in, or code systems that you can put in order for the system to control multiple devices at once and doing multiple sort of functionality at once. It's so good, but at a lot of times it's going to scare away some people. It's a great game because it's simple to play and it's easy to pick up and really easy to play. But at the same time, it gets to a point where it just gets wall hard if you're not a great puzzle person, or you're not a great person that just understands management games in general. Because you've got to remember there are limitations on nearly every level for both how many dishes you deliver, the energy that you end up using, and also the ingredients, how many you actually dish out. Because if you dish out too many ingredients, then you get caught in the wayside of going, and on top of that you have a budget that you have to stay within, which is again phenomenally hard and really sort of crams up this difficulty on this game when you start getting into those harder levels. The one thing I do love about this game is it has multiple ways you can play this. You can create your own campaigns for other people to play. You can go to a test area and test out ideas and test out what you want to build and everything. There is also a workshop, a Steam workshop, that you can build new stuff for Automachef as well. So there's so many different levels of things that you can do in this game that really sells it for me. It really makes me sort of enjoy so many parts of this game. And because it's a nice simple game, it just makes it even easier and making me more want to play it. The downside of this game is the difficulty curve, and on top of that, it's just going to vary quite vastly depending on your time of play. Because if you're a good puzzler and you're good sort of logic person and good at management resources and all stuff like that, you're going to have a breeze through this game. But if you have trouble doing this, you're going to come to a point where it's going to be either too hard or it's just going to make no sense whatsoever, and it's going to be, where's the tutorial? Which there is surprisingly few out there for people at the moment. So it's a difficult game, and I think that's going to turn a lot of people off. But at the same time, it's a worthwhile game to play. The music is fantastic, the sound effects are awesome. I love the aesthetics, I love the animation, and just looking at machines getting production, especially when you get to the point where you have liquid transferring around, you have multiple platforms going above and around each other, and all sorts of other things like that. It's just, it boggles the mind what you could do with this game. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the videos from the more creative people that are going to be out there doing it. For the price it is at the moment, it's a good buy and it's well worth the play. And I just can't talk more about it. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I really wish you all the best and hope you come back for another day. If you've found that this was a helpful video in deciding what game to play today, please leave a comment, leave a little subscription for me down there, and just click the button, hit the bell icon as well, and the like button really helps too, surprisingly. Other than that, I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.